I still remember the day my life changed forever. The day everyone laughed at me, called me useless, treated me like I was nothing. But 3 months later, everything flipped, and they never saw it coming. If you've ever been humiliated, betrayed, or underestimated, stay with me. This is a revenge story, not loud, not violent, but devastatingly satisfying. It was 19 years ago. I had just started a new role at State Street Bank in Boston. I was excited, nervous, hopeful. That feeling didn't last long. My manager was Paula, and she was the kind of person who made your stomach tighten before you even said hello. The office smelled like stale coffee. Fluorescent lights buzzed overhead. Everyone looked tense. No one smiled for long. I was told I would join a high-visibility project. Complex financial operations. Senior executives watching closely. It sounded important. It sounded impressive. The reality? Chaos, confusion, and Paula thriving in the middle of it. My job was simple on paper. Compile reports, gather data, track oil warrants from Nigeria. For those who don't know, a warrant lets someone buy a commodity at a fixed price, no matter what the market is doing. If tracked incorrectly, the liability could be massive. The numbers I submitted were always correct. Always. But Paula never cared about the numbers. She cared about formatting, wording, tiny details that didn't matter. She would lean back in her chair, smirk, and tear my work apart. Not mistakes, commas, fonts, spacing. Every week felt the same. I would submit the report and wait for the attack, chest tight, palms sweating, stomach in knots. I wanted to defend myself, but it felt like shouting into a hurricane. Weeks passed. Nothing improved. If anything, it got worse. She would find new flaws every time. A word she didn't like, a line slightly misaligned, even a comma she called out of place. I would sit at my desk, clenching my fists, watching the blinking cursor, counting the seconds until the next humiliation. Then one day, everything changed. I was searching through old network folders, looking for references, and I found something interesting. An old project folder from years ago. Before she had a team, before she had me. Every report, every template, every cover letter, created by Paula herself. And that's when it hit me. If she judged my work by her standards, what would happen if I used her own format, exactly as she wrote it? A small spark ignited. For the first time in weeks, I felt something different. Not fear, not frustration, control. This wasn't going to be emotional revenge. This was going to be precise, calculated. I would give her exactly what she wanted. Her own work, just updated with new numbers. And wait, I studied every old document she had created. Every phrase, every header, every predictable critique. Then I rebuilt my report, line by line, using her structure, her language, her formatting. The only change, the updated data, everything else, was Paula. I even printed her old reports, side by side with mine, ready for the moment. The day arrived. She sat in her glass office, heels tapping, confidence radiating. I walked in calmly, placed the report on her desk. "Paula," I said, "I thought you might prefer this format." She flipped through the pages. At first, confusion, then irritation. "What happened to your old format?" she snapped. I stayed calm. "Since you didn't like my previous reports, I thought this would be better." She began criticizing immediately, pointing at sentences, at structure, at wording, exactly as I expected. Then she asked, "What were you thinking?" That was my moment. I handed her the old printouts. "I used your reports verbatim, just updated the numbers. You can compare." Silence. Heavy. Thick. She stared at the pages, trying to process it. She was criticizing her own work. Finally, she signed it. "Fine, send them as is." And just like that, the report went out, without a single change. The predator had walked into her own trap. And the best part, I kept doing it every week, using her old templates, watching her tear apart words she had written years ago. Eventually, she discovered I had access to her old files, but I had an answer ready. I created SOPs based on previous work. Logical, professional, defensible. Months later, I resigned. I walked out of that office lighter than ever before. She had tried to humiliate me, week after week, but in the end, she was defeated by her own methods. Revenge isn't about cruelty. It's about reclaiming your power, your dignity, your voice. Sometimes karma works slowly, and sometimes it just needs a little help. If this story gave you chills, make sure you follow for more, because sometimes justice isn't loud. It's clever, patient, and unbelievably satisfying.